Introducing Bossman.
Hello everyone and welcome to a how to play video for Bossman. This is going to be a brief overview of what Bossman is as a fighter, what he comes with in terms of components, any new and unique mechanics, and then we'll get into a quick turn example as well. So yeah, Bossman is the first fighter in the High Rollers expansion, coming to Kickstarter October 29th. Before we get into it, if you do want to play these Bossman or any other fighters yourself, then there will be a link in the description where you can get Fatal Knockout on Tabletop Simulator for free. Anytime that we add a new fighter, whether the expansion is a couple of months out, a year out, we will add it to Tabletop Simulator for free, because we feel like public testing is vital to the Fatal Knockout design process. As you can see here, there's a Discord link on the table. There will also be one in the description, so you can join the Crab Studios Discord and check out the Fatal Knockout channel. And you could, if you fancy it, you can, ask for a game, and then you might be able to get a game with someone to either show you the ropes or just to have a competitive experience. Anyway, Bossman. So as you can see, we got a standee. Here he is. Looking mighty intimidating, as he should. And here is his beauty render on the board and on the guidebook as well. So like with most fighters, Bossman comes with a standee, guidebook, reference card, and 15 cards in the base deck. So you have 14 regular and 1 KO card, equaling 15. But additionally, you also have a combo card, which is something brand new to Fatal Knockout, introduced with Bossman, but is planned for future fighters as well. So it's not like it's going to be a one and done mechanic feature with Bossman in the future, where it makes sense with the fighters. We plan to do combo cards as well, because they are really interesting and do evoke a very sort of pungent, if you will, emotion in both the player playing Bossman and the opponent as well. So yeah, if we stick Bossman on the stage here, and then we have a look at just some of the cards before we get into the turn example. We will start with the bottom of the deck. So we have here two Initiative 1 cards. We have Security and Chokehold. One thing that you'll notice here is that there is a grab action, and this guy is indeed a grappler. So if you have a look at the rest of the fighters here, it all looks quite overwhelming if you've never played the game before. But one fighter to focus on in particular is Cage. Cage is the only other grappler in the entire game. Up until Bossman, up until the High Rollers expansion, it was the only grappler in the whole game. And that's a shame. That was a shame anyway, because grapplers are such an interesting archetype. They do get a bad rap sometimes for being kind of like one tricks, and they only really do one thing and they're only good at one thing. But there's a lot of nuance there. So I do feel like exploring the archetype in different ways was important for this game, and that's what I've done with Bossman. And the reason also why I want to mention it now, when we got Chokehold out, is because if we bring out Quick Grab, which this should be, it is, you can see that Chokehold and Quick Grab are pretty much mirrors of each other, with slight additional differences. Both Initiative 1, both have a rotate and a grab, but the difference is the order in which you can do these actions. So Quick Grab has a rotate into a grab, meaning that if you start the round facing away from your opponent one space away, then you can quickly turn around and grab them. So it's kind of like, if you're in a disadvantaged state when you're starting the round, then you can kind of get back into the fight quite quickly. However, with Chokehold, the opponent has to be in front of you. But the benefit of Chokehold is that, unlike Quick Grab, once you grab them and throw them behind you, you get to rotate and face them again, so you can kind of like capitalize on that. So you need to have better positioning, and you need to make it so that the opponent kind of doesn't get the last turn or the last laugh in the previous round where they can just stand behind you. But you get to capitalize on it much better anyway. So yeah, other than that, we have security, which introduces a new action to the game called Intimidate, which is unique to Bossman. Intimidate works similar to Mercury's Interrupt, where if I grab a card here, spin move, perfect. Let's bring that over here. As you can see, they look kind of similar, and that's because they do sort of similar things. So if, for example, we'll talk about Intimidate here. We'll ignore the initiative orders here. If, for example, you have security here, you can use Intimidate to push one of your opponent's cards back in the turn order, which is slightly different to Mercury's. Let's do it like this way. We need to actually get another Mercury card. Let's assume that Cage's card is a Mercury card. With a spin move with Interrupt, you can use Interrupt to bring one of your cards forward in the turn order. So technically, they can do similar things in situations like this. However, what's interesting is that it can actually make quite a big difference pushing one of your opponent's cards back in the turn order as opposed to pulling one of your cards forward. Because if, for example, I don't know, Bossman has 3 cards, well, whichever fighter has 3 cards, and let's just assume this is Intimidate, just because we're running out of cards here. Using Intimidate to push like 1 card back in the turn order, the player could have ordered these cards in a very particular way in order to combo from this to this to this. And if you break that chain, then it could completely disrupt their entire combo. So when fighters have a bunch of cards next to each other, which a lot of fighters can have, especially low initiative fighters, then having him Intimidate to be able to break that up, I think is really important. Anyway, throw that over there, throw that over there. Let's have a look at a couple of the other cards. So Intimidate appears in a few of the cards at the start of the deck, but if we have a look through here, we'll bring out... yeah, we'll look at You're Fired. Why not? I mean, we could look at any of these, which have the knockback on them. But You're Fired introduces a new twist on an existing action in the game. So in the game, as you're aware, if you've played the game before, you can knock back people. You can do knockback damage. So what that means is there's like... there's a lot of cards which have knockback attacks, they're just regular attacks, but they have knockback next to them. And what that means is that you can push them, usually anyway, 1 space as well as hitting them. So it's like a combination of a push action and an attack. With Bossman, however, you can do a knockback attack and push them up to 5 spaces away, which can include 0 spaces, so it has that advantage as well. Like if you don't want to actually push them, but you just want to do damage, you can do that. But you can push them up to 5 spaces away on the stage. This combos really well with an interesting rule in FKO where if you... Let me just grab a random fight. We'll grab the Gambler from this expansion as well. If Bossman was to push with a regular knockback that only does 1 space, was to hit Gambler here and do 1 damage and knock them back, then that would just be 1 damage because you've just knocked them back 1 space. However, because of the edge of stage rules, when it comes to additional damage, if you were to hit them back, say, 4 spaces, it would go 1, 2, even 3 spaces. 3, they would be off the stage. But what that means is they actually stay on the final stage, and it's like they've been whacked into the wall of the arena, and they take an additional damage from behind. So that means that this action here makes it so much easier to do multiple damage. Because, I mean, we could even be here, for example. And it goes 1, 2, 3, thwack, you know, and takes a 2 damage, which is very difficult to avoid. Bossman really wants to stay sort of in the central area of the arena, because once he starts getting dragged into this area because of his low movement and rotates and that sort of thing, if the player sort of stays in this area here, then they can suffer from the additional knockback damage into the wall, which is very, very important, because Bossman, even though he is quite a high damage fighter, he doesn't have very many opportunities to hit those punches, just because he's so slow. So if Bossman maintains this area though, like for example right in the middle of the stage, either side of him is lethal. Well, not depending on what health the opponent has, is lethal. But yeah, anyway, so that is all that is new. with Bossman apart from the combo card, which I will explain now, but I'll get into more detail when we go to the turn example. So with Bossman, during the planning phase, so when you're placing your cards down, let's just we'll just pretend that we place this one down. I'll grab Spurs deck because that's what we're going to be using in the example. And then shuffle that. Spur places a card down, then you place another card down, say accountability, obviously face down. Spur plays another card face down. And then you might want to play a card which has knockback on it. And if you do, you can choose to attach a combo card to it. And you have to do it straight away if you're choosing to do that. And what this combo card does is, if we flip all these cards over, there we go. We'll just ignore the initiative order right now, because it's not important. Then you can see here that the way this works. Let me just explain the way this works. The combo card is only activated, so like these extra 2 actions which are attached to this card. So it's like it's got 4 action steps instead of 2. This only triggers if on the card it's attached to, that card does direct knockback damage. So if with You're Fired, you get hit, the opponent gets hit with this attack. So say like nothing else happens and we're at this stage here, and Bossman hits Gambler and hits them into the wall for 2 damage. Then that triggers the Fancier Quick Chat combo card, where they can move up to 4 spaces and then hit them again. So this could total 4 damage just from these 3 actions. So yeah, that's how the combo card works. It can get attached to cards. It needs to get attached to cards straight away if you're playing them, and there is a trigger for them actually being activated on the card which they're attached to. So there's a lot of steps before this can actually be activated. And there's actually one final thing as well. Whenever this is used, whether it's actually activated or not, it becomes tapped, and only via the meter track can you untap it and use it again. So what this does in essence is it makes it so that if the opponent is even on 4 health, so just taking 1 damage, they are pretty much on lethal for the entire rest of the game. They are on the verge of being beaten for the entire rest of the game, which is crazy. Anyway, let's go to the example. So this is a sort of mid-game example here. The planning phase is over, about to start the combat phase. The combo card has been attached to Super Slam. Bossman has taken 2 damage, so Super Slam is active. Otherwise, of course, you wouldn't be able to use the combo card. And Spur has only taken 1 damage. So, let's have a look here. So we've got Hipfire. I'm not going to play necessarily the best or the smartest with Spur, just to highlight exactly what's going on and guarantee that I show off this example in a good way. But Spur moves forward 1 and doesn't have a yellow bullet, but has to shoot. So we'll shoot a white bullet. Then Spur, you know what? Spur's going to go on the offensive. It doesn't really matter either way because of the push. Like, there's going to be 2 spaces away from him. So to keep Bossman away from the center of the stage, Spur's going to move forward 1, push Spur back 1, and then at that point, Bossman will pull Spur towards him and then knock him back. So he's going to knock him back. Let's knock him back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. In fact, knock him back here, sorry. And then Spur is gonna... So that does 1 damage to him. And the reason why Bossman wants to do that is because he's goading Spur into moving up 2 and doing damage to him with a Black Bullet, which actually does 2 damage. So Bossman is now only on 1 health left. So it's a bit of a risky move, but coming up is Merger. Merger allows Bossman to move forward 1, grab Spur, throw him behind for 1 damage, and then we have Super Slam. In fact, let's showcase this. I'm gonna actually heal Spur for 2 right now. I'm gonna be generous. So Super Slam allows Bossman to grab Spur and throw him back around, And then, with the knockback attack, gonna knock him back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 2 damage. 1, 2, and then move up for 1, 2, 3, 4 with the combo card because we did knockback damage, and then gonna whack him again for an extra 2 damage, which is actually over lethal. So despite Bossman being on 4 health and despite me healing Spur 2 health, Bossman with this combo, with this setup, managed to be able to turn around the game in his favour. And that just illustrates just how sort of powerful Bossman is. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully enjoyed. Hopefully you found this helpful. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.